All right. Been some technical difficulties. Hopefully, you can hear me well. One of my advisors said that we needed a new camera, so we have a new camera. So hopefully, this one's a little bit clearer than the other ones or the other one, and we'll see what happens and see if the audio works out well at the end. Hey there, hi there, ho there, everybody. It is I, Clay Morris, with the Amazing Grace Sports Network, here again to tell you what happened. And guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Week 15 in the NFL is over, and the playoff picture, instead of getting clearer, has gotten murkier. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not wait around. Start your engines. Get ready, set, go. I'm going to start you off with Saturday games. Yes, there were games on Saturday. Why? Because it's only, 3 or 4 weeks left in the season. So now they have games on Saturday. There were 3 games on Saturday. And for the record, I was right in all 3 of them. That's right. Yes, sir, Bob. I must admit, they were easy. They were easy to pick. Now, let me explain to you why. The Minnesota Vikings took on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, okay, the Vikings had just lost to the Lions, and they were pretty pissed off. So they were going to take it out on the Colts. And they did. They won 39-36. Of course, I thought it would be a much easier win. Not only was it 39-36, at one point, Minnesota was down 33 points. So I didn't think Minnesota would have to set the record for the largest comeback in NFL history in order to do it, overcoming those 33 points. But it happened. And I was right. Hats off to Matt Ryan of the Indianapolis Colts. He will forever be cemented in NFL history as the opposing quarterback on which the biggest comeback in the regular season happened, as in this game, and in the Super Bowl when he was the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons when the New England Patriots came back from a 28-3 deficit to defeat them 34-28. It's kind of a weird way to be known, but Matt Ryan, take it any way you can. It's better to be known than not known. Now, in the second game, the Cleveland Browns defeated the Baltimore Ravens 13-3. But who didn't know that that was going to happen? Why? Because the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, the star quarterback, is out. And his backup quarterback, Tyler Huntley, is no Lamar Jackson. So, on the other side of the ball for the Browns, Deshaun Watson is getting better with each game. If Watson had started the season with the Browns would probably be contenders. That being said, let's move on. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Miami Dolphins 32-29 in the snowy cold of Buffalo. And that is why I picked them to win. This was another easy pick. Because, to sum it up, it is harder to come from a warm climate and play well than it is to come from it's harder to come from a warm climate and play well in cold weather than it is to come from a cold climate and play well in warm weather. The Bills now sit alone at the AFC East with a 2-game lead with 3 games to go. Now, on to Sunday. And let's begin. Let's start off with the games that I got wrong. There's only 3 of those. There's only 3. So that will make it quick, fast, and easy. The Jacksonville Jaguars shocked. They shocked the world so badly I couldn't even say their name. The Jacksonville Jaguars shocked the world with a 40-34 mauling of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Jags were down 21-7 at halftime. Then they outscored the Cowboys 27-13 in the second half to force overtime, where they won on a pick-6 interception, which just goes to show that if anything bad can happen to the Cowboys, it will happen to the Cowboys, and that as long as Dak Prescott is at the quarterback position, as he threw 2 interceptions, including the one that lost the game. Now, the Los Angeles Chargers actually won a game when it counted, or when people thought that they might win the game. They defeated the Tennessee Titans 17-14. Keep in mind that the Chargers barely won, and they were at home. Really, this was more about the Titans running on empty in on offense. I mean, they couldn't get anything clicking. than it was about the Chargers. Now, in the game that upset nearly everybody who watched it, and of course, why not? The Las Vegas Raiders beat the New England Patriots 30-24 on the wackiest play of stupidity that I have seen in a long, long, long time. Now, this game was tied 24-24 with 3 seconds left, with the Patriots on their own 45-yard line. The only chance at winning in regulation was a Hail Mary pass. Okay, 3 seconds left. They're on their own 45. We know how this works. You throw the ball into the end zone and just let someone catch it. Here's what happens, because if there's a pass interference, there's still another play to go. Now, see, this is just, regular time. It's not overtime or whatever. You're tied. There's no way you can lose. Basically, you just throw it into the end zone and let them fight for it. And if you get the touchdown, you get a touchdown. If you don't, you don't. But if you get a pass interference, you get another play, which is another shot and another touchdown at the 1-yard line. But not Bill Belichick and the Patriots, because Bill Belichick always has to be the smartest guy in the room. Now, that worked when he had Tom Brady, but not so much without him, okay? So instead of trying that Hail Mary pass, which is with 3 seconds to go, the most probable way that you can possibly win, Bill Belichick decided to run the ball and dial up a running play with a bunch of laterals. Yeah, that might work. Running play, laterals. We'll just run down the field and start lateraling. Wrong. One of the laterals ended up in a Raider player's hands, and he ran it back for a touchdown. Cha-ching, game over. Now, in the press conference afterwards, 3 or 4 reporters directly asked, who thought of that play? Who thought it was a good idea to have a running play with laterals? Also, if you lateral it backwards, it could be a fumble. And then, somebody could pick it up and run for the score, which sort of happened that way. But anyway, they directly asked Bill Belichick who thought it was a good idea for that play. And Bill Belichick, of course, took no blame for the buffoonery that occurred at the end of the game, costing the New England Patriots that game. No responsibility in it at all. And so the circus goes on in New England. Now, let's get on to where the games happen, where they were supposed to happen, which means, as I picked them, happen as they should. Beginning with my Detroit, your Detroit, America's Detroit Lions traveling to the Meadowlands of New Jersey and defeating the New York Jets 20-17. Now, the Lions did not play their best, but the Jets played worse. Anyway, the Lions are now bucking for contention in their playoff race after losing 6 of their first 7 games. Yes, that is terrible and hard to imagine. But the reality is, the Lions have a better record at 7-7 than any team in the NFC South. If they win out, they will be in. If they win 2 out of 3, then more probably will be in. But let's just move on. The Philadelphia Eagles cross-checked the Chicago Bears 25-20. Now, Chicago, whose front office seems to have no clue of what they should and should not be doing, continues to trot out there and start their star young quarterback who is just getting into his own, who is the nucleus of their team, who is everything that the franchise is going to be about in the next 5 to 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years. They continue, even though they have no chance at the playoff, to put him out there. And he's been injured. They could just easily say, listen, the guy's still injured. He's injured, and just run somebody else out there, because that's it. Because they have no chance at any playoff spot. But by playing him, they have plenty of chances to get him hurt. And guess what? That is just what happened. Fields was sacked 6 times for 61 yards, which means there were several other times he barely escaped being sacked. Eventually, Fields was forced to leave the game with an injury. The one thing that was easily avoidable by not playing him at all. So, when it comes to stupid, Chicago Bears management leaves nothing to be desired. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Atlanta Falcons 21-18. The Falcons said that they changed quarterbacks. Right? Yeah, they changed quarterbacks. That rookie Desmond Ridder and not veteran Marcus Mariota was now on the field. It was different. But the offense looked just as inept as it ever did this season. They looked the same. It was as if Mariota was out there. Or maybe that was Mariota just out in Ridder's uniform, pretending to be Ridder, so that it looked like they had a different quarterback out there. Whatever the case, if they actually did change quarterbacks, let's just say they did. If they actually did, what it showed more than anything else that is that the problem in Atlanta is not the quarterback. Pittsburgh defeated Carolina 24-16, just as I predicted. I kind of hedged it a little bit. I said that Stevie Wilkes, the coach, might have them up for this game, but I also said right at the beginning that this game might prove to be too big for the Panthers. Because if they won this game, they more than likely would be in first place of the NFC South. They were poised on the precipice of legitimacy because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were sure to lose to Cincinnati. So if the Panthers were to win this game, they'd be top dog in the NFC. And that is why they lost. Yeah. You see, they couldn't handle success when they were right there. And the trophies right there for them to grasp and take and hold on to and clutch to the bosom. They lost. Well, next week they will play Detroit and they will lose again. Speaking of that burning, sinking ship that is known as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were pillaged and plundered and body slammed and anything other words you can throw in there, the other adjectives you can throw in that will point to defeat by the Cincinnati Bengals 34-23. Yes, it is that bad, Bucs fans, that bad. Your defense sucks. I mean, your offense is terrible, but your defense really sucks. They can't stop anybody. They have no takeaways whatsoever. With all this talk about Tampa Bay defense, whenever they meet a good offensive team, they get trounced. And you're lucky the Bengals took it easy on them. They could have ran it up to 40-45. It is apparent by now, ladies and gentlemen. It is apparent, ladies and gentlemen, and sports fans everywhere. Let me look right into the camera and tell you, it is apparent by now that Todd Bowles is so bad as a head coach, as he showed when he was with New York. He is so bad that not even the greatest quarterback of all time can make him look good or win a game underneath him. I mean, he has won 6, but they've lost 8. Not even the greatest quarterback of all time can make him look good. Now, the Buccaneers were up 17-0 in the third quarter. And with 5 minutes, and just fast forward, 17-0 in the third quarter, but with 5 minutes left in the game, they were down 34-17. So that 24, that next, points that they scored was basically meaningless. Cincinnati just let them score it. And whatever. The Bucs are dead in the water. The Denver Broncos won their 4th game of the season, counting 4. Their 4th game of the season by defeating the Arizona Cardinals 24-14. Now, neither $50 million quarterback Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson were out there. No, they didn't play. And it was just as well because this game didn't matter at all. Both of these teams are out of contention already. It doesn't matter if they played or not. They could have just said no. They could have just said, let's just make it a tie. It wouldn't have mattered. They still would have been out of contention. It's a wonder this game was even covered, other than the fact that they had to cover it because, well, I guess they have television and radio crews out there to do it. Well, and in the game that could have been a Western movie, the Kansas City Chiefs took on the Houston Texans, like Cowboys and Indians. Yes. Well, they took on the Texans and they beat them 30-24. So the Indians beat the Cowboys yet once again, as it happened a lot of times in the West. And sometimes it didn't happen. Well, let's just move on. It's just a football game. Let's not put any politics in it, sociology, anything, this historical context. It doesn't matter. This is a football game with just some names. Okay? Let's just put it this way. Kansas City beat Houston 30-24. And it was a much closer game, even though Houston has won. Well, now they're won 12-1. They've won one game and lost 12, and they're tied another game. Yeah, they just won 12-1. Even though they've only won one game the whole season, it's a competitive game. The Texans even forced it in overtime, if you can believe that. Yeah, in overtime. So, you put it mildly, the Texans jumped out to a 7-0 lead, kept it all competitive, forced it into overtime, but they lost. And why did they lose? Because on the other side, there's a guy named Patrick Mahomes. I just call him Magic Mahomes. Magic Mahomes was 36 for 41 for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns. He attempted to pass the ball 41 times and completed it 36 times. He only missed 5 times. You can't win, Texans. Shout out to the Texans. You can't win when the opposing quarterback connects on 90% of his passes. And that's the reason why they didn't win. They lost. And in the final game on Sunday night, in the NFL, the New York Giants were taking on the Washington Commanders. Yes, they were traveling to Washington, D.C. to try to avenge the tie they had 2 weeks ago with the Commanders. And eventually they did. They beat the Washington Commanders 20-12. Now, if you stayed up and watched this game, we have to ask you why. Maybe if you're on the West Coast, we can understand. Okay, the 8 o'clock game either comes on at 5 and you're just settling down to dinner. But if you're on the East Coast and you actually stayed up, even if you're a New York Football Giants fan, we have to ask you why. Because this game had 5 fumbles. 5 fumbles, yeah. This was a game with 5 fumbles and 6 field goals. 5 fumbles and 6 field goals. Where's the excitement? Oh, maybe the fumbles were the excitement. Well, whatever. There are 3 games left. There are 3 games left. There are 3 games left in the NFL. All these teams are down to 3 games. Now, the 49ers, the Chiefs, and the Eagles have clinched their division. Well, the Eagles really haven't clinched, but they basically have. So let's just say they have. There's no way they're not going to clinch that division. So the 49ers, the Chiefs, and the Eagles have clinched the division. Okay? The Bills and the Cowboys have clinched playoff spots. And the aforementioned Bears, Broncos, Cardinals, and Texans have been eliminated from the playoff contention totally, absolutely, 100%. There's no chance of them even sniffing anything close to a playoff spot. It's done. They can just pack it in right now. Maybe if they had a tie rule, they can just call in the game and say, we tie. That way, no player has to get hurt. Nobody has to get injured. But whatever. Anyway, I digress. Now, all 4 teams in the NFC South, yes, all 4 teams in the NFC South, the Buccaneers, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints have a chance to win that division. Personally, I think all 4 organizations should be embarrassed by the fact that they're not even 500 teams. And they might not be 500 teams at the end of the season. But at this point, none of them should want to win the division. It would only highlight how inept they have been all year by making it to the playoffs. And oh yes, congratulations to Argentina on winning the most thrilling World Cup ever. Congratulations to Kylian Mbappe for scoring 3 goals, despite all the dirty plays and fouls committed upon him by the Argentinian team. And a heartfelt congratulations to both teams, whether you were dirty or not, for giving us the most thrilling World Cup finals ever. And with that, I say goodbye, good luck, and good hunting. Be kind to your loved ones and your spouse. And remember, you are the most important person in sports. Yes, you. You give more to the game than anybody does. You give your heart, your soul, and your money to the sport. You support a team, and the teams don't even support you. They don't even know you exist. So take care of yourselves first, sports fans, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans everywhere in the world, soccer fans, well, football fans, European football fans, and American football fans, basketball, baseball. Take care of yourself, fans. And players, take care of yourselves also. Your career is short, anything can happen. But for the sports fans, take care of yourselves. And with that, it's arrivederci. Bye-bye and ciao. It's been nice being here. We've had a great time, but sometimes, it's a cowboy that says, bye-bye.